Tonight, the combative cross-examination of Donald Trump's former fixer.
Do you plan to testify, Mr. Trump?
Trump's team attacks the credibility of Michael Cohen. The show of support from the Speaker of the House, trying to discredit the prosecution's key witness.
This is a man who is clearly on a mission for personal revenge.
The CBS Evening News starts now. Good evening, I'm Nora O'Donnell, and thank you for being with us. We're going to get to the intense and contentious questioning of former fixer Michael Cohen by Donald Trump's defense team in just a moment. But first, there is some breaking news about a horrific accident in Florida. Now, a truck driver is under arrest for a DUI after a deadly crash that killed at least 8 people and injured 40 others in Central Florida early this morning. State investigators say the driver of that pickup truck collided with a bus that was carrying 53 migrant farm workers. CBS's Manuel Bojorquez reports tonight on the conditions of those still in the hospital in Ocala.
More than 30 ambulances rushed to the scene of the crash at about 6:30 this morning. It happened on a rural road about 50 miles south of Gainesville. 53 farm workers were riding in a bus once used as a school bus when police say an oncoming pickup truck veered toward the center of the road. The 2 vehicles sideswiped.
The school bus traveled off the roadway onto the grass shoulder where it went through a fence, struck a tree, and overturned. We've had approximately 40 people transported to local area hospitals.
Brian McLean Howard, the driver of the pickup truck, has been arrested on 8 counts of driving under the influence, manslaughter. Migrant workers from Mexico were among the victims. They were in the U.S. legally, according to government officials, and were on their way to a farm that was harvesting watermelons.
We are a very big agricultural county. So this time of year, we always have migrant workers that are in our county that are on buses. They're hard-working individuals. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with them being here.
Advent Health received multiple patients and called on Spanish-speaking chaplains to help.
As you might imagine, that's a touching experience.
Ernesto Ruiz, with the Farm Workers Association of Florida, spoke with the family of one of the men who was riding the bus.
They haven't spoken to him since yesterday. They're terrified. They don't know if he's alive, if he's injured, what his state is.
Of the 40 people injured in this morning's crash, at least 7 were listed in critical condition at area hospitals. The Mexican consulate in Orlando says it has activated emergency phone lines to try to connect victims here with loved ones in Mexico. Nora?
Manny Bojorquez, thank you so much for that update. Turning now to the fireworks in the criminal trial of Donald Trump, as defense attorneys question the prosecution's star witness, Michael Cohen. Trump's lawyers repeated Cohen's own expletives back to him as they tried to portray the former president's personal attorney as an opportunist motivated by revenge. But Cohen laid out key details in the plan to cover up the payment to an adult film star ahead of the 2016 election. And that included an Oval Office meeting where he drilled down on Trump's alleged role in falsifying business records by claiming the repayment scheme was all legal expenses. CBS's Robert Costa was inside the courthouse today.
Today we had a very good day in court.
Donald Trump's defense attorney Todd Blanche took direct aim at Michael Cohen's credibility today, noting he's publicly attacked his former boss, from calling him a Cheeto-dusted cartoon villain to selling merchandise on TikTok, including a $32 T-shirt depicting Trump behind bars. Addressing Cohen, Blanche asked, "Do you want President Trump to be convicted in this case?" Cohen, sure.
The Trump defense team is coming hard out of the box at Cohen's credibility, his integrity, the fact that he makes no bones about having an intense dislike of Donald Trump.
Trump is under a gag order and barred from criticizing witnesses. But Trump's GOP allies, including an entourage at court today, are not, including House Speaker Mike Johnson and 2 former presidential candidates.
He is someone who has a history of perjury and is well known for it. No one should believe a word he says today.
Inside court and under questioning by prosecutor Susan Hoffinger, Cohen testified about a 2017 Oval Office meeting where he and Trump allegedly discussed his reimbursement for the $130,000 payment to Stormy Daniels. Cohen, who took a picture during his visit, said Trump knew the financial records would be cast as ordinary legal expenses. Hoffinger, if not for the campaign, Mr. Cohen, would you have paid that money to Stormy Daniels? Cohen, no ma'am. Hoffinger, at whose direction and on whose behalf did you commit that crime? Cohen, on behalf of Mr. Trump.
Whether the jury views Michael Cohen as a truth teller or whether they view him as just spitting another one of his lies is probably going to drive this verdict.
Cohen was the target of an FBI raid in 2018, part of an investigation into the hush money payments. He said it left him despondent and angry, but Trump, he testified, offered him reassurance. "Don't worry, I'm the president of the United States," Cohen said Trump told him. It was the last time they spoke. After making a statement, Speaker Johnson refused to take questions, but I did ask him, would he stand with Trump even if Trump is convicted? He rushed off and ducked into his motorcade, underscoring how many Republicans are coming here to show solidarity with Trump, but few want to talk too much about the details of this trial. Nora.
Robert Costa, thank you so much. Israel targeted Hamas with an intense round of strikes in Gaza today, including in the south, where hundreds of thousands of people are fleeing Rafah. Tonight, we're hearing from an American medic who is among the doctors and aid workers who are trapped in the war zone. CBS's Imtiaz Tayeb reports from Israel tonight.
Israeli warplanes targeted this building in the central Nuseirat refugee camp. A CBS News team was there as first responders dug survivors out from the rubble. Several were killed, including women and children. In another strike nearby, the Israeli military says it struck a Hamas war room at a UN school, killing over 10 fighters. CBS News could not independently verify the claim. The carnage comes as aid agencies say nearly 500,000 Palestinians have fled the southern city of Rafah since Israel began targeting areas there last week, including 81-year-old Mustafa Al-Ghazar, now displaced in this camp. I live in extreme fear, he says. All crossings out of Gaza are now blocked, leaving 20 American medics trapped inside, like Dr. Mohammed Abdul Fattah from California, standing here in front of the same I Love Gaza sign an Israeli tank drove over last week as the Rafah offensive began.
It has been very difficult, leaving my wife and two kids and surrounding family. It was something that I had to do. I felt like the efforts back home were not going anywhere. They were falling on deaf ears.
But as Israel marked its Independence Day, thousands of Israeli settlers also marched towards Gaza, demanding the right to rebuild settlements inside the Palestinian territory, while others also tried to block aid from entering. And aid agencies are warning over 1 million Palestinians now face catastrophic levels of hunger, but help could soon be on the way. A floating pier President Biden ordered the construction of to help ramp up the distribution of aid in Gaza could become operational any day now. Nora.
That is some good news. Imtiaz Tayeb, thank you. As storms push through the south tonight, we've learned that at least 3 people were killed in Louisiana on Monday. That includes a pregnant woman and the baby she was expecting, who died after a tree fell on a home. Another death was reported in Mississippi after severe weather slammed the state Sunday into Monday. President Biden is taking a hard line on Chinese imports, charging a 100% tariff on electric vehicles. And that's just one product the administration is targeting, a move the president says will help U.S. companies counter the Chinese government's, quote, cheating and anti-competitive practices. CBS' Nancy Cordes is at the White House with what this means for American consumers.
After years of warning China, President Biden put his pen where his mouth is today, quadrupling the tariff on Chinese EVs from 25% to 100%.
I'm determined that the future of electric vehicles will be made in America by union workers, period.
The move comes as EVs from Chinese automaker BYD gain traction around the world at about half the price of U.S.-made cars.
One thing that my grandfather used to always tell me are good things aren't cheap and cheap things aren't good.
Dorian Jimenez owns a Chevy dealership in Oklahoma City.
I'm glad that our government is going that direction, and the more things that we can keep in-house, the greater it can be for us.
Biden's hikes apply to far more than EVs. Chinese steel and aluminum will be hit with a 25% tariff. Solar panel cells will go to 50%, and so will Chinese syringes and needles.
Biden finally listened to me. He listens to me.
Former President Donald Trump hiked tariffs on a much broader swath of Chinese goods in 2018. At the time, Biden argued that would spark a trade war, raising costs for everyone.
We're going after the wrong thing with China.
Even today, reaction from around the country was mixed. Colorado's Democratic Governor Jared Polis said this is horrible news for American consumers and a major setback for clean energy. This tax increase will hit every family.
But the White House argues China's unfair trade practices have been hurting manufacturing states like Michigan and Pennsylvania. Those happen to be swing states as well, but officials here insist these new tariffs have nothing to do with the fact that we're in an election year, Nora.
Nancy Cordes, thank you. A CBS News investigation finds some 2020 election deniers are now working in election oversight positions. And a possible break in the investigation into a deadly boating hit and run near Miami that killed this 15-year-old. That and more straight ahead. Now to that tragedy over Mother's Day weekend when a teenage ballerina was killed in a hit and run while water skiing in Miami. CBS's Christian Benavides has the new information.
Tonight, Florida officials say they've identified a vessel of interest in the hit-and-run death of 15-year-old Ella Adler last weekend.
FWC officers have identified a boat fitting the description of the vessel that struck Ella Adler. The boat is in our custody and its owner is cooperating.
Adler was water skiing in Biscayne Bay near Miami Saturday when the accident occurred.
We have multiple reports of a person got run over by a boat. A lot of blood in the water.
Officials say she was waiting for her boat to pick her up when a light blue boat with dark blue paint on the bottom struck her, causing her to die from her injuries. The driver never stopped, and officials say it was unclear if they even knew they had hit her. A dancer with the Miami City Ballet, her death has rocked her community. On Monday, hundreds of friends and family laid her to rest.
A great dancer, my daughter's best friend. It's a tremendous loss. She had such a bright future.
This remains an open investigation. Adler was killed while celebrating a friend's birthday. Her family wrote in a statement that the world lost a star and that she was their light. Nora?
Just awful. Christian Benavides, thank you so much. Tonight, a CBS News investigation into who is overseeing elections in several key swing states. That's next. Tonight, a CBS News investigation into dozens of election officials in key battleground states. Many have promoted election conspiracies, including false claims about President Biden's 2020 victory. CBS's Caitlin Huey-Burns reports.
Here in Washoe County, Nevada, home to Reno, Republican Tracy Hilton Thomas is campaigning for a seat on the county commission in one of the country's fiercest political battlegrounds.
And in 2020, saw some things that should not have been going on.
The 5 commissioners administer elections. They appoint the county's top election official, set the budget, and ultimately certify the results.
We are adjourned.
Part of Hilton Thomas's campaign to oversee future presidential elections is fueled by her doubts about the last one.
I do believe that there is interference in our elections.
Do you believe the results?
I would have to say at this time, no, I do not.
There is no evidence of widespread voter fraud in Washoe or any other county in the U.S. But our new CBS News investigation found there are nearly 80 officials working in election oversight positions across 7 swing states, including Nevada, who either don't believe the 2020 election results, refuse to certify the election, have publicly supported the actions taken on January 6th, or have pushed election conspiracies.
What kind of impact would a county commissioner have on elections?
We are in a national election. That national election is be run at the local level. And at that local level, they can completely shut down the election for the state and for the nation.
The power of the commission seat has attracted local right-wing activist Robert Beadles, who endorsed Hilton Thomas.
It's fraud. Our elections are rigged.
Beatles has been lobbying Washoe commissioners to implement several controversial election changes, including having the National Guard at polling places, which the ACLU says is categorically illegal.
They're really scared of Trump, but what they should be scared of is like 25 to 100 million little Trump 2.0s running around the country.
Beatles' approach has been promoted by top Trump supporters like Steve Bannon.
Why the focus on the county commission?
You want to save a county? You save the county commission, because they're the ones with one vote that can fix or destroy a county.
Beatles has already spent heavily supporting the campaigns of 2 of the 5 current commissioners, both of whom are pushing election conspiracies. If Beatles is successful in getting one more vote on the commission, his allies will be in charge of certifying elections in the future. Caitlin Huey-Burns, CBS News, Reno.
Our Heart of America is next.
This portion of the CBS Evening News is sponsored by SimpliSafe. There's no safe like SimpliSafe.
Finally, tonight's Heart of America with a group of siblings in a class of their own. Here's CBS's Meg Oliver.
Well, we definitely missed out on prom, right? Graduation.
The Povolos are making up for lost time with the quintessential graduation.
It's huge. I mean, it's the first in our family.
Born in New Jersey on July 4th, 2002, quintuplets Victoria, Vico, Ashley, Michael, and Marcus have done it all from sharing birthdays to bedrooms.
We know everything about each other.
But they weren't sure they'd share a college education.
Some of us even thought of maybe not going to college or just community.
Refinance the house, ask for loans. We were in that process when the big surprise happened.
Montclair State University pulled through with the big surprise, offering 5 full academic scholarships.
So happy. Our mom was crying instantly as soon as she found out.
Is this a dream come true for you? Absolutely.
On Monday, 4 years after missing their high school graduation during the pandemic, the Povolos made up for it 5 times over.
Hopefully, med school down the line.
I might eventually go to law school.
And hopefully by the summertime, I have a teaching job.
I want my own business.
I'm going to be continuing work my corporate banking job.
Meg Oliver, CBS News, Little Falls, New Jersey.
And with that, the Povolo quintuplets are tonight's Heart of America. And just a reminder, our interview with Pope Francis is on this Sunday's 60 Minutes, followed by a primetime special on Monday, May 20th. And that is tonight's CBS Evening News. I'm Nora O'Donnell. Good night.